Hi, welcome to Janani Farms. I'm Dr. Sarita Subramaniam, a keen enthusiast of gardening. I love plants and especially succulents. In today's episode, we will be talking about watering of our succulents, whether it's an arrangement or just by itself. This is one of the most critical care that we need to ensure for succulents because most of us, including me, we have smothered and killed a lot of succulents because of overwatering. But how do we know that what is overwatering, what is underwatering, when does the plant need water? And these are all dependent on actually the time of the year, the climate, the season, the weather, the area where you are from. What was good for me in Mumbai, the coastal area, is not good for me here in Karzat. Similarly, wherever you are, you have to gauge from your experience. It will take some time for you to understand this, but there are certain tips which I can share which you will be able to ensure that your succulents are not overwatered or underwatered. So usually if you overwater these succulents, as I had mentioned to you earlier, is that they don't need too much water or nutrients to survive. They are basically from the desert like conditions. In very arid conditions they thrive and grow, so their moisture requirement is too little. Most of the leaves of the succulents actually are loaded with water. So when you overwater them, it tends to cause the root itself to rot, or the leaves will all become, initially they look very nice, they look all plump and you're happy, but soon you'll start seeing them become yellow and wither off or dry. So or dry and fall off rather. And you have to know when to water. So this becomes critical. So how do you gauge that? What most people do is use their plain finger, not a gloved finger, a plain finger. Their Go up to the second knuckle and you insert into the pot, and if there is any soil sticking to it, then it means the soil is well hydrated, the container does not need, your plants don't need any water. But if the second knuckle comes out dry, then it means your plant definitely needs watering. How else can you gauge? You can also use any wooden object. There is this hair clip that I have, it's a wooden one, or a wooden spoon, or you can even use a chopstick from your last Chinese meal. Just come back and repurpose it and use it to check the moisture content in your soil, in your pot mix. What you need to do is the same. You insert it, go up to 2/3 the container, because you know the roots will be right up to there. Just insert it. If it comes dry, it means this soil is dry and definitely the plants need watering. Sometimes, if I check and there is some moisture that is there in the soil, then I don't need to water it. You will find some sand here. You can use any of these techniques to check whether the pot needs watering. The other thing is, if your plant looks a bit shriveled, the leaves will look dry, the plant will not look as plump and healthy, definitely it needs watering. So same, you can just insert it gently, and if it's bone dry, then definitely you have to water. There are various ways you can water the succulent. I'll just show you a few of them. There are different ways to water the succulent pot itself, irrespective of whether it is a single pot or with an arrangement, or ones with don't have any drainage hole. Especially this one does not have any drainage hole. Now, please remember that if you are a beginner, I would recommend that you avoid pots without any drainage hole. While you can do terrariums or even place your succulents in pots which don't have drainage holes, your assessment of how much water it needs and when to water becomes difficult. So till you acclimatize yourself with succulents and you're confident about how much you can water, when to water, only then please embark on using non-drainage hold containers. So I'll show you how there are ways of watering. Either you can use a shot glass. This is from Praha. I think it's Moser. I think it's one of the cherished ones, collectibles from Praha. we had picked it up last time. So I use the shot glass. What we need to do is approximately whichever container you want to water, that same container you'll have to take approximately 1/5 of that container's water, and then use the shot glass to pour the water gently. Now that becomes tedious for me to manage, so I approximate, but I use a shot glass just because it's smaller, it's convenient, and I need to water certain areas of some pots. So here I will be, especially when it's a non-drainage one, I will try and water around the plant. Please remember, do not water directly onto the leaves. The leaves are very delicate, they store water. Anything excessive present on them which does not get evaporated becomes very difficult for the plant to expel. So as far as possible, or rather you must always avoid watering directly into the onto the plant. So water all around the plant, and this of course comes with experience. You will learn how to do this. Now I will be adding, I know that I need to add four shot glass full of water for this container, and I will leave it. Now usually, because I am outdoors, my plants are also outdoors, I like to leave it like that in semi shade or outdoors, so the day I water, because I want any excess water to evaporate quickly. You don't have to keep it in the blazing sun, but please try and leave it outdoors if you can. If you can't and your plants are predominantly indoors, please try and leave it on a windowsill next to the sun, so that the excess water evaporates quickly. The other way to water is, of course, you can use any of the containers. I have this from IKEA. The long spout really helps me in controlling where to put the water. There are other squeeze bottles which are available. I don't have them. It is available online. It releases water with a long spout, and it ensures again that you will discharge water only in the areas around the plant and not onto the plant. But for me this works fine. I'll just show you how to do it. One of the techniques which I follow is, when I have to water the plants, I try and direct it onto the let's say if there are rocks or any landscaping material I have used, I direct it there so that the water goes into the pot. At the same time, it's not onto my plants. For example, I'll just show you here. I leave it onto the rock itself, and that will ensure that my entire pot is filled and it soaks, and whatever is excess, I can always direct it as and when I need it, as and where I need it rather. You have to water it enough so that you can check it by actually seeing that the water comes out of the drainage hole. This is very, very critical, that the water comes out of the drainage hole. And again, I would request, please leave it outdoors so that the excess water is evaporated. The other way, and the one that is usually preferred by most connoisseurs of succulents, whether it's an arrangement or otherwise, is bottom watering.